The Senate will come to order. Senator Jones. Is there a Senator Jones yet? Senator Sheffel, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Morning all, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Mr. Majors, could you please take the roll?
Aguilar, Balmer, Baumgartner, Brophy, Cadman, Crowder, Grantham, Guzman, Harvey, Heath, Herpin, Hill, Hodge, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, King, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Newell, Nicholson, Renfro, Rivera, Roberts, Sheffel, Schwartz, Stedman, Tocktrop, Todd, Ulibarri, Zenzinger. Madam President.
Here. With 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate has a quorum. Motion to adopt the journal. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the reading of the journal of May 2nd be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary. Thank you.
Heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. That motion is adopted. Senate Services.
May 5th, 2014, correctly engrossed Senate Bills 202, 213, 215, 217, 221, and 223, Senate Concurrent Resolution 3, Senate Joint Resolution 39, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bills 180, 211, and 214, correctly revised House Bills 1015, 1023, 1037, 1085, 1096, 1118, 1279, 1281, 1301, 1311, 1355, 1373, 1378, 1379, 1380, 1383, 1387, 1388, 1390, correctly re-revised House Bills 1066, 1156, 1161, 1173, 1214, 1276, 1283, 1334, 1349, 1352, 1365, 1371, 1372, and 1374.
Message from the House.
May 3rd, 2014, Madam President, the House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bills 127, 191, 209, and 212. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statute, Senate Bill 206 as amended, Senate Bill 184 as amended, Senate Bill 186 as amended. The House has voted not to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1180 and requests that a conference committee be appointed. The Speaker has appointed Representatives Becker as Chairman, Wilson and Fisher as House conferees on the first conference committee on House Bill 1180. The bill is transmitted herewith. The House has voted not to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1298 and requested a conference committee be appointed. The Speaker has appointed Representatives Hamner as Chairman, Buckner and Murray as House conferees on the first conference committee on House Bill 1298. The House has voted to grant the House conferees on the first conference committee on House Bill 1298 to consider matters not at issue between the two houses. The bill is transmitted herewith.
Message from the Reviser.
May 5th, 2014, we herewith transmit without comment as amended Senate Bills 184, 186, and 206.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. If we can move that we proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege for Senator Johnston, and then I'll do the same thing for Senator Sheffel. We've got a lot of wonderful young people here this morning.
The motion is to grant Senator Johnston a moment of personal privilege out of order. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senator Johnston, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning. Delighted to welcome some special guests this morning to the chamber. I do have my two sons, Seamus Johnston and Emmett Johnston here. You guys want to stand up? Yeah, and all of their classmates and friends and their amazing teachers from Bill Roberts Elementary Kindergarten who are here. So welcome, Bill Roberts. Thank you all so much for being here.
Mr. Majority Leader.
That was my first.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege for these two wonderful senators standing here, Senator Sheffel and Senator Aguilar.
The motion is to grant Senator Sheffel and Aguilar a moment of personal privilege out of order. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The senators are granted a moment of personal privilege out of order. Senator Sheffel.
Thank you, President Carroll. Colleagues, I just wanted to take a moment. I was coming into the Capitol this morning and I saw a bunch of wonderful children from Most Precious Blood Catholic School. I ultimately determined that they belonged to the good senator to my right here, but I did bump into a good friend of mine, Anthony Scalercio, was in their midst this morning, so I wanted to introduce him. I know I've been known Anthony and his family, and then also over here is a Shannon Connor, who was just elected by her peers as judge in charge of all of law enforcement for Ameritown. Hold your applause and make some comments, but we're glad you guys are here this morning.
Thank you, and I just want to welcome these wonderful children who are blessed to be educated in Senate District 32.
Thank you very much. Welcome, guys. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. While we're talking about young people, I think you all should know that Lisa and Ryan welcomed Gianna into the world at 9:52 p.m. on May 3rd. She was 7.5 pounds, 20 inches, and she's a cutie. So congratulations to Lisa and Ryan from all of us.
Yay. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read the titles to all of the bills on third reading consent calendar?
House Bill 1390 by Representatives Duran and Gardner, Senators Brophy and Zenzinger, concerning the legal standing of a member of the public and challenging a violation of the open meetings requirement. House Bill 1380 by Representative Gardner and Fields and Senator Nicholson, concerning the Colorado Coroner Standards Training Board in connection therewith making an appropriation. Senate Bill 217 by Senators Carroll and Cadman and Representatives Hollinghorse and Del Grosso, concerning methods to promote transparency in connection with public disclosure by lobbyists and in connection therewith making an appropriation. Senate Bill 213 by Senator Johnston and Representative Conti, concerning increasing the statutes of limitations for commencing proceedings against a person who, after committing a vehicular homicide, leaves the scene of the accident in connection with requiring a post-enactment review of the implementation of this act.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the adoption of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar, which includes House Bills 1390, 1380, and Senate Bills 217 and 213.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills on consent? Are there any no votes on any of the bills on the consent calendar? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1390 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Kafalis. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1380 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Newell. Senator Todd. Senator King. Senator Crowder. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 217 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Jones, Senator Kafalis, Madam President Pro Tem, Senator Stedman, Senators Newell, Aguilar, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Todd, Kerr. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 213 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senators King, Lambert, Herpin, Kafalis, Roberts, Rivera, Schwartz, Baumgartner, Jones, Newell, Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Talktrop, Crowder, Todd, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Kerr. Please add the President. Third reading of bills calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1089?
Bill 1089 by Representative Hamner and Senator Schwartz concerning the qualification for a person to use the 10th Mountain Division license plate.
Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam President. And I move House Bill 1089 on third reading and third reading, final passage.
Any discussion? Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like permission to offer a third reading amendment on 1089.
Okay, there is an amendment on the desk. Senator Crowder, would you care to explain why we should grant permission for a third reading amendment?
Explain the amendment.
We're to the question of permission, just any explanation of why we should grant it.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. The thing with this amendment, we've had an issue with this license plate, and the way it's set up, I strongly believe that it dishonors a veteran. So what I've done is come up with an amendment on this. And the reason I think it dishonors a veteran is because as other veterans see this, what they think of is that the individual with the 10th Mountain Division license plate actually served in the 10th Mountain. And that's not exactly true. So what we have done to restore the honor of the veteran is we've created a situation where there's two plates. The one plate will say, we support the 10th Mountain Division, which gives it a whole different meaning of it, and the other plate will actually be a 10th Mountain Division plate. Now, the one that says we support the veteran will be available to anybody and everybody that wants it. They don't have to be a veteran. But the issue on the 10th Mountain Division plate, in order for you to carry a 10th Mountain Division plate, you have to be a veteran of that. As some of you are aware, the 10th Mountain is still an active force in Fort Drum, New York, and I think I think they should be, they should qualify for this plate. But I do believe that what this amendment does is straighten this out. There's also an issue on there about auditing on the we support. But be aware that the actual 10th Mountain Division plate will never exceed the $50 from the state. And this is not an issue with money for me. So irregardless of what happens to the other one, as long as it says we support the 10th, it straightens the entire thing out. And I do believe this restores the honor to that veteran. And I do consider this to be a friendly amendment. And with that, Madam President, that's kind of the outline of the amendment.
Is there any discussion on whether to grant permission? Question is granting Senator Crowder permission to offer a third reading amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senator Crowder is granted permission. Mr. Majors, would you please read L015?
Thank you, Madam.
L015 to House Bill 1089 by
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam. I move on House Bill 1089 L015.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam President. And I ask for an aye vote. I really appreciate Senator Crowder's willingness. This is a wonderful resolution to being able to honor the 10th Mountain and the efforts, the ongoing efforts. So making the differentiation between our veteran and those that support our veteran is a clear demarcation and gives us a wonderful way to make sure that our veterans are honored, and then also have a mechanism to support the efforts, the ongoing efforts of the foundation through the foundation. And this will all happen in 2016, so it's not going to be imminent. So we are making that transition, and to provide funding that the state will be able to audit a competitive grant program and the continued filing of the nonprofit status of the foundation.
Senator Crowder.
One final point I would add: I have been assured by a number of people that this will not go over to the House and this amendment will be jerked off. You know, if that were to happen, I can assure you there will be hell to pay on this one.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam Chair. I hear my friendly amendment sponsor, but I think what has been remarkable, and those that have been engaged, speak to that this has been a unique collaboration of thoughtful individuals that have sat down, I think, in a patient way to make sure we have a thoughtful resolution, and you can't control those House members, but I think there's a pretty strong guarantee that this has been decided upon and worked upon by all those involved, including our veterans organizations.
Senator Renfro on L015.
Thank you, Madam President. I understand what we're trying to do here, but I would ask if this fits under the title. I don't believe it does, because the title is concerning the qualification of a person to use the plate, and we're creating a new plate here to where we have two plates. So I don't think this amendment fits under the title.
Senator Schwartz?
And thank you, Madam President. I think concerning the qualifications now are if you are in fact a veteran, you have access to a plate that now says 10th Mountain, and then if you are in fact someone supporting our veteran 10th Mountain folks, that you will have a plate that says that you in fact do that. So it is clearly a clarification on the qualification.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I think the challenge should be addressed as that it doesn't fit under the title, because we were talking about a person to use the 10th Mountain. We're not creating a new one in the bill. We have a 10th Mountain license plate. It's been here since 1999, and what the bill did originally was to define how that money gets spent and how the qualifications are for that plate. There's no allowance in here for or other plates created or the We Support plate. It really should be run as a separate bill, not as a third reading amendment that certainly I think doesn't fit under the use of what could easily be considered the current 10th Mountain license plate that's been here since 1999.
The Senate will stand in a brief recess. The Senate will come back to order. Presiding officer rules that the proposed amendment does fit under the title. Any other discussion on L015? The question is the adoption of L015. Are there any no votes?
Discussion?
We can go back to discussion. We're to discussion on L015, Mr. Minority Leader, on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. So now we get to talk about two plates. I mean, that's what the amendment does. It talks about the original, kind of the original intent of the bill, and now the second configuration of a support license plate. It's a great organization. There's an amazing history here. This is not about that. The issue that I had with this bill and the reason that it's been sitting around so long is, let me give you a little history. This, as mentioned, this plate was created in 1999 to honor the 10th Mountain and basically allowed anybody to get it. And it basically became a promotional tool recognizing and honoring the amazing history of this organization. And there are actually several 10th Mountain nonprofit groups across the country that do work in this area. And we have a very special one here, the 10th Mountain Foundation as well. And I've had discussions with the director of their foundation. I've looked through their books. It is a legitimate, real, valuable organization that I think brings great credit to the memory of those who served, as well as those who want to continue to honor that service. The hard thing for me, though, is as this plate transitions, it was created as a support mechanism, as I mentioned. Over the years, similar plates have taken on a new role out of this legislature. From previous legislatures have taken these types of plates and created charitable foundation devices for them, designees, basically becoming a state-sanctioned, a Colorado state-sanctioned recipient of charitable contributions. And there are some amazing groups in this state. I mentioned the 10th Mountain. There's a lot of Colorado chapters and national chapters that are housed in Colorado of a multitude of veterans support organizations. I'm a veteran. I served in the Army. We have veterans on both sides. I can't even remember the last member of my family in my lineage that wasn't a service member. My wife's uncle rests on the Arizona at Pearl Harbor. And I mention that to show that I really do believe in what these veterans organizations do. We have the 10th Mountain, we have the Blue Water Navy, the 101st Airborne, the Air Force Association, the Air Force Sergeants Association, the American ex-POWs, Mile High Chapter, Northeast Colorado Chapter, Rocky Mountain Chapter, American GI Forum, American Legion, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on about great organizations in this state that are doing great work. The problem for me is that when we create a special designation of this charitable money, we are violating the Colorado Constitution. The Constitution says we cannot generate special legislation. There is a mechanism that exists. I don't think we can get to it in this bill, but what we could do is create a grant program that all these plates could feed into, and then maybe through DOLA or some other state entity, groups that do these great works could apply and get grants. And it wouldn't require a constitutional violation by a designation of an entity to become the sole recipient of this money. And that's, even with this amendment, we are saying that there is only one group on the planet that can get this money. And then this one does open it up to their opens their books up to auditing by the state to make sure that the money is being granted. But the bottom line is it becomes special legislation that is a violation of the Colorado Constitution. And I had a couple folks, do you mind if I?
I'm so sorry.
I've had a couple folks talk to me, obviously, during the last weeks where this bill has kind of been in limbo. And the assertion was that I was picking on this group and that I was dishonoring the memory of these veterans, and frankly, that repulsed me. Because we all swore an oath to support the Colorado and the United States Constitutions. And the Constitution clearly says you cannot create special legislation. You can't have the Bill Cadman Foundation, although I might want to support that. I mentioned all these other organizations. None of them have special plates. We have not granted them special designation as a state-sanctioned charity. We swore to uphold the Constitution. And you know what? So did those men who served and died in the 10th Mountain, and every other veteran who served and those who died. They swore to support and defend the Constitution. I picked up a copy of the Oath of Enlistment. It reads just how I read it when I swore to support and defend the Constitution. And there is not one provision in that oath that says, unless we can get something for ourselves. There's no exemptions of supporting the entire Constitution unless there's something specific in it. That's what I found so troubling by the assertions that I was targeting one specific group. I think honoring their memory and those who died to serve the Constitution means serving and honoring the same Constitution that they swore to in the exact same way, with no exemptions. That's the issue with this bill, and it's not the organization or any organization. We are being asked to provide an exemption from the Constitution, which is not within our authority, to honor those who served and died for that very Constitution. That's the issue here. I wouldn't want to cheapen the memory of any of those lost serving that Constitution by providing an unconstitutional exemption from it. That's the issue. I'm going to ask for a no vote on this amendment and a no vote on the bill.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Question is the adoption of L015. Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader, Senator Lundberg, Senators Shuffle, Renfro, Marble, Brophy, Baumgartner, Lambert, Balmer, King, Hill, Roberts, Herpin, Grantham, Rivera, Harvey. With 19 ayes, 16 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, L015 is adopted. Back to the bill. Further discussion. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this bill has changed significantly, remarkably under the title, Madam President. But now we have two plates, and one plate is if you have been a part of the 10th Mountain Division, which again, as the previous speaker said, I have great regard, high esteem for those who served in the original 10th Mountain Division and for those who currently serve in the 10th Mountain Division. But they're very different. The plate initially was established because of the heritage of the 10th Mountain Division here in Colorado. And of course, that was that really experimental division that was established, and the training was up in Leadville, and they prepared fighters for World War II. And when we had this discussion initially some months ago now, I mentioned that I knew one of those men. He was an incredible patriot. And remained a mountaineer all of his life, taught school as well in the Denver public school system, if I recall, and was a real inspiration. A few years ago, he died, as have virtually all who served in that original 10th Mountain Division. And something you ought to know about for the bill is the 10th Mountain Division is not in Colorado anymore. In 1984, it was, I don't know what the military term is. Yeah, it's Fort Drum in, I believe that's New York State. So for the last 30 years, that's where the 10th Mountain Division has been based. The likelihood of there being that many people from the 10th Mountain Division living in Colorado today seeking a plate is pretty slim. So the plate that originally, because this is what the amended bill now does, is all of those who have 10th Mountain Division plates will be reissued the We Support 10th Mountain Division plates. The original plate, that's the new plate that this bill now creates. The original plate will be designated only to those who were who served in the 10th Mountain and were honorably discharged from the 10th Mountain Division. Let's get the facts straight. That doesn't mean anybody, virtually, who served in World War II. That means a division that I'm sure is honorably defending our country, based in New York State. That doesn't make sense to me that we would be putting that plate together that way. And then it's setting up the system for fundraising for this one nonprofit organization. Again, I'm sure a fine organization that I'm sure is doing fine work, even as thousands of nonprofit organizations across this state do fine work. Work finer than what the state can generally contrive. So I'm fully supportive of nonprofit organizations, but is it the role and the place for the state of Colorado to be setting up plates, especially plates that are already established and under very different, really what I would call contractual arrangements with the people. But of course, we, the legislature, can change contracts anytime we want, and that's exactly what we're doing here. To the over 12,000 plate holders of the 10th Mountain Division plates today, we're saying, no, you can't have those anymore. We're taking that away. That's not appropriate state policy. It makes no sense to pass this bill.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. One final thought. You know, I think what we're doing with this is we're actually restoring the honor of the veteran on the 10th Mountain. The 10th Mountain is a federal, national organization. It's not just Colorado. And that's what, you know, when you're driving down the highway and you see a Marine or Army or Air Force, you have a sense of attachment with that person, with that unit. With this bill, with this amendment, I think we can get back to that. You know, by running with just the 10th Mountain is almost a stolen valor situation. And I do believe this, if we could have this one that says support the 10th Mountain, it puts it completely out of the military realm. And I think veterans will understand this. And I move this bill for passage. And thank you.
Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. And again, I think that I really acknowledge and admire all veterans' work, Minorities Leader, his expression of his commitment to military service. You received on your desk a handout, and it shows all of the other entities. And we asked for an opinion from our legislative legal staff about the constitutionality. So when we provided this opportunity to the Denver Broncos charities, the Cranky, whatever they are, sports charities, Cronky charities, the Pet Overpopulation, the Colorado State Patrol, Indian Chamber of Commerce, the Trout Unlimited, Raptor Education, Bicycle Colorado, and then, you know, one of our favorites is this foundation for state parks. That goes into funding our state parks to that plate. That plate goes to a foundation that is auditable, and it's that foundation is in fact distributing through a competitive audited grant process the funds that come from, as specified in statute, the funds that come from the plates that are donated on Visit Your State Parks. So the Colorado Horse Development Authority, American Military Impact on Education, all these entities. So with that, I will just ask for, again, clarification on the utilization of the plate and ask for an aye vote.
Senator Renfro.
Thank you, Madam President. One question that was just asked me, and I don't recall the answer to it just because I've been off transportation for a few years, and I know we've had some reform within our legislation, within our statutes on this, but as I recall, we used to have a number of signatures that had to be presented of people that would buy a plate before it could be created. And then there was a number of plates that had to be purchased in a certain amount of time before, or that plate would be withdrawn. And I don't know if that is still part of our statutes. Maybe the sponsor of the bill knows or not. But to me, both of those parts of statute are probably not being met, especially the signature gather, if that is still part of our statutes for the creation of this new plate that we're creating today in the second house of a bill on third reading with no public input. So I just ask that question and ask for you to have a no vote unless we get an answer to that question there, because this should have went through a different process.
Question before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1089. Are there any?
I can answer the question.
Senator Crowder.
Well, I can, thank you, Madam President. I can answer the question. I run a bill this year, Distinguished Flying Cross with Valor, and it was a situation where it just ran through the Senate and the House. As far as signatures, I don't know anything about that. And I'm just trying to answer that one question.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, President Carroll. I just want to drive one final point from our own drafting manual. It says Colorado courts have determined that Article 5, Section 25 was enacted to serve several specific purposes. These purposes include preventing class legislation, legislation that applies to some classes but not to others without a reasonable basis for distinguishing between them, comma. Second, curbing favoritism by the General Assembly, preventing the General Assembly from interfering with local affairs, preventing the General Assembly from passing unnecessary laws to fit limited circumstances and acting as a limitation on the power of the legislature. Drafters should be aware of all bill requests that may be considered special legislation once drafted. Again, Section 25 of Article 5 of the Constitution prohibits the General Assembly from passing special laws under enumerated circumstances and in all other cases where a general law rather than a special law could apply. Generally, the purpose of the constitutional prohibition against special legislation is to confine the power of the legislature to the enactment of general statutes conducive to the welfare of the state as a whole, to prevent diversity of laws on the same subject, to secure uniformity of law throughout the state as far as possible, and to prevent the granting of special privileges. And if granting a license plate for any entity is not special privileges, I don't know what is, because every other entity does not get those privileges. Every other entity does not get those privileges. Because what we really should do if we wanted to grant special privileges to all nonprofits, we ought to just say, come here, get a plate, and you're going to go through a process where everybody applies. There's uniformity of applications and granting provisions, but we don't have that. We erred when we started doing these plates. And I've been asked, why highlight it now? But it's like explaining to the policeman that, yeah, you were doing a few miles over, but what about the 3 guys that were passing you? He doesn't say, oh, okay, I'll go get them instead. It's still wrong. This is special legislation. It is a violation of the Constitution. This is not about, my opposition to this has nothing to do with the entity. It has everything to do with what we swore to uphold here, and frankly, what those men and women died to defend here. Frankly, I hope that honors their service. There is no way that this is not special legislation, and I hope TLRC will start evaluating this entire system.
The question is the adoption of House Bill 1089. Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Scheffel, Baumgartner, Lambert, Harvey, Brophy, Herpin, Lundberg, Marble, Grantham, Renfro, King, Roberts, Hill, Balmer, Rivera, Hodge. With 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1089 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senators Johnston, Nicholson, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Kerr, Todd, Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 223?
Senate Bill 223 by Senators Nicholson and Cadman and Representatives Giroux and Young concerning the payment by the state of legal claims arising in connection with the Lower North Fork wildfire and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Nicholson.
Thank you, Madam President. We move for the adoption of Senate Bill 223 and L003. And first, we'd like permission to offer a third reading amendment.
The question is whether to grant permission for a third reading amendment. Senator Nicholson, you want to explain your request for why we should grant permission?
Thank you, Madam President. This is a technical amendment. It's another way of producing the same result that we intended, which was to make sure that the claimants did receive the funds that we talked about during second reading, but it eliminates a section of the bill that is not necessary.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, President Carroll. I actually raised my hand before my co-sponsor had identified the issue of eliminating some language in the bill that we don't need to add to the statute. We're referring to existing statute with two adjustments that allow the claims to be paid under this provision, which was already there. So would ask for an aye vote. And also, members, it's the amendments from the President of the Senate, so you might want to support it.
I don't know if that helps or hurts. Question is whether or not to grant permission for a third reading amendment. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Permission is granted to Minority Leader and Senator Nicholson to offer a third reading amendment. Mr. Majors, would you please read L003?
Amendment L003, Senate Bill 223 by Senators Nicholson.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Move 03.
Any further discussion on L003? Question is its adoption. Are there any no votes on L003? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, L003 is adopted. Back to the bill. Any further discussion? Question is the adoption of Senate Bill 223. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 223 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senators Ulibarri, Jones, Scheffel, Todd, Kafalis, Madam President Pro Tem, Senator Kerr, Senator Lundberg, Senator Rivera, Senator Herpin, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Roberts, King, Johnston, Aguilar, John, Schwartz, Baumgartner, Crowder. Any other co-sponsors on Senate Bill 223? Senator Toktrop, Senator Grantham. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 202?
Senate Bill 202 by Senator Kerr and Representative Tyler concerning modifications to the requirements applicable to the School Injury Loan Program.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Bill 202 on third reading and final passage, and I do not ask for permission to run a third reading amendment.
Any discussion on Senate Bill 202? Question is its adoption. Are there any no votes? Senator Marble, Senator Grantham, Senator Lundberg, Senator Baumgartner, Senators Harvey, Lambert, Brophy, Scheffel. Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Grantham, Renfro, Rivera, King, Roberts, Hill, Balmer, Crowder. Herpin. I've got you, Senator. Senator Jones, are you a no vote? Okay, Senator Jones is a yes vote. With 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 202 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Ulibarri, Jones, Johnston. Mr. Majors, would you please, and Senator Todd, co-sponsor on Senate Bill 202. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 221?
Senate Bill 221 by Senators Kerr and Zenzinger and Representatives Hamner and Young concerning reducing the frequency of administering the statewide assessment of social studies in connection therewith reducing an appropriation.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. We move Senate Bill 221 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of Senate Bill 221. Are there any no votes? Senators, Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Shuffle, Baumgartner, Harvey, Lambert, Marble, Lundberg, Grantham, Renfro, Rivera, Hill. With 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 221 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Jones, Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Nicholson, Newell. Please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 215?
Senate Bill 215 by Senator Stedman and Representatives Duran and Giroux concerning the disposition of monies collected by the state in connection with the legal marijuana industry and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Bill 215 on third reading and final passage and humbly ask your permission for a third reading amendment.
Senator Stedman, to the permission request.
Thank you. Colleagues, if you'll recall, this is the marijuana tax bill we debated on Friday, and there were a number of floor amendments that came at the end that were hitting the same lines of appropriation, and we did one amendment on the committee of the whole to try to harmonize those, but I warned you on Friday we would need to do this. And if you have your bill, you can pull out the bill and look at, like, for instance, page 30, and you will see in the appropriation clauses where there's two dollar figures in a row, two different dollar figures in a row that don't make any sense. It's because two different amendments were changing the dollars in certain appropriation clauses. The amendment I would like your permission to offer will harmonize all of this and clean the bill up so we can send it to the House. Ask for an aye vote.
Question is granting permission to Senators Stedman and Lambert on offering third reading amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Permission is granted. Mr. Majors, would you please read L010?
Amendment L010.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Amendment L010, and as I was explaining, this has a little bit of cleanup language, but mostly what we're doing here is fixing various dollar figures and statutory transfer dollar figures in the bill because bills that went through last year created duplicate numbers, or amendments that went through on Friday created duplicate numbers and duplicate paragraphs in one place, and this harmonizes those to make sense of the amendments. It keeps the amendment that Senator Aguilar passed, which moved all of the $3 million out of the Department of Education grant program over to the Department of Public Health and Environment, Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing, school-based behavioral health interventions program. So that amendment prevailed, and this cleans that all up.
Further discussion on L010, Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President, and I've taken a great deal of study of this third reading amendment, and from what I can tell, this is not the sponsor's fault. So it's a JBC bill. We got to clean it up, so I'd ask for an aye vote also.
Question is the adoption of L010. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, L010 is adopted. Back to Senate Bill 215. Any further discussion? Nope. Question is the adoption of Senate Bill 215. Any no votes? Senator Brophy. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 215 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1311? Oh, I missed a co-sponsor. Senator Aguilar. Other co-sponsors on 215, Senators Nicholson, Newell, Todd, Schwartz, Jones. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1311?
House Bill 1311 by Representatives Garcia and Dorr and Senators Stedman and Crowder concerning the credit against the state income tax for the cost incurred in connection with the preservation of historic structures and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1311 for final and third reading. Ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1311. Any no votes? Senators Hill, Balmer, Baumgartner, Lambert, Harvey, Lundberg, Marble, Renfro. With 27 ayes, 8 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1311 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senators Schwartz, Jones, Kafalis. Madam President Pro Tem, Senator Newell, Senator Rivera. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1373?
House Bill 1373 by Representatives Lebsack, Scott, and Senators Crowder and Zenzinger concerning individuals who may claim the property tax exemption for qualifying seniors and disabled veterans.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Madam President. We move House Bill 1373 on third and final reading and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1373. Any no votes? Senators Lambert, Harvey, Baumgartner, Marble, Balmer, Lundberg, Renfro. With 28 ayes, 7 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1373 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senators Kafalis, Nicholson, Aguilar. Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Herpin, Rivera, Toctrop, Ulibarri. Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Roberts, Johnston, Kerr, Todd, Newell. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1355?
House Bill 1355 by Representatives Kagan and Gardner and Senators Guzman and King concerning Department of Corrections reentry initiatives for successful reintegration of adult offenders in the community and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Madam President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator King and I move House Bill 1355 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1355. Any no votes? Senator Marble, Senators Balmer, Lambert. With 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1355 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Ulibarri, Johnston, Jones, John, Aguilar, Toctrop, Schwartz, Roberts, Nicholson, Kerr, Newell, Stedman, Kafalis, Hodge, Todd. Please have the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1096?
House Bill 1096 by Representative Vigil and Senator Schwartz concerning an underfunded courthouse facilities grant program in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1096 on third reading and final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption, House Bill 1096. Any no votes? Senators Balmer, Baumgartner, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Grantham, Renfro, Shuffle, Hill. Senator Balmer, I've got you. These are no votes on House Bill 1096. With 26 ayes, 9 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1096 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Nicholson, King, Stedman, Rivera. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1037?
House Bill 1037 by Representative Landgraf and Senator Baumgartner concerning enforcement of laws against designer drugs in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1037 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is adoption of House Bill 1037. Are there any no votes? Senator Lundberg. Senator Hill. With 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1037 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senators Crowder, Herpin, King, Rivera, Newell, John, Todd. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1281?
House Bill 1281 by Representatives Janan Joshi and Senators Rivera and Aguilar concerning the allowance for terminally ill patients to have access to investigational products that have not been approved by the Federal Food and Drug Administration that other patients have access to when they participate in clinical trials.
Senator Rivera.
Thank you, Madam President. We move House Bill 1281 on third and final reading.
Any discussion?
Go ahead.
Senator Aguilar.
And ask for an aye vote.
Okay. Question is the adoption of 1281. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1281 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senators King, Roberts, Crowder, Herpin, Toctrop, Kerr, Jones, John, Nicholson, Schwartz, Zenzinger, Newell, Todd, Madam President Pro Tem, Senator Hill, Senator Brophy. Additional co-sponsors on 1281. Senator Lambert, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Lundberg. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Concurrent Resolution 3?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 by Senator Hodge and Representative Rosenthal, submitting to the registered electors of the state of Colorado an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning local determination of county officer salaries and in connection therewith authorizing counties to establish salaries for county commissioners, sheriffs, treasurers, assessors, clerks, coroners, and surveyors, divesting the General Assembly of that function and directing the General Assembly to create citizens' commissions in each county for the purpose of regularly evaluating county officers' salaries.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I move SCR 03. This takes to the voters the question of whether or not county elected salaries should be determined at the county level with an oversight commission that we determine. It takes 24 votes today. I ask for an aye vote.
Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Madam President. There are two words that put fear in the heart of elected officials, especially at the local level and even us here: unfunded mandate. When we do our job and pass an increase in salaries, we push the responsibility for funding that onto the county commissioners who had no say in our decision other than perhaps lobbying us. So I believe this is a good opportunity to ask the citizens if these decisions should be made at the local level by the people who have to balance their budgets and accommodate those salaries. So I'd ask for an aye vote.
Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, members, there's two ways for something to get put on our ballot: by the people when they gather the requisite number of signatures, and then through this process that we are considering with this SCR. I just want you to think about what it will be like if you are looking at your ballot this fall and you see whatever it'll be, referendum U or T. It's pretty late in the alphabet now. And you think about that, and there's going to be people that are going to call you. We all have people that call us when they get their ballot and they say, what is this? So you're going to get your normal amount of calls. You might get a few more this year who say, what blank is this? What they're going to be saying is pay increases for elected officials? The other thing they're going to be saying is, why did you vote for that? Well, of course, I will be quick to say, I didn't vote for it, but I want you to understand that this is going to be on the ballot as something that the legislature put on the ballot. So we, in a certain way, will have all been part of this, because the legislative branch of the Colorado government said this has the support of our branch with 2/3 in both chambers, therefore we're putting it on the ballot. Now just think about all of the things that didn't make 24 votes in the past. Gosh, there's a long list of things that never made it on the ballot because leaders that sat in these chairs took principled stands. My concern with this one is that people really aren't giving it much thought. I've talked to other legislators that go, yeah, well, my commissioners hate it, or this, or that, and the other. And it doesn't seem to be a real sober seriousness associated with this one. And I think that we should. This is an extraordinary thing to put something on the ballot with 2/3 votes from both chambers. And I don't think that this has come from the people at all. This has not come from the people. This has come from a group of elected officials that want higher salaries. Now, they've given their reasons, and you can debate whether they're good reasons or bad reasons, but I just think the whole request is suspect. Why should we be spending time debating this, and why should we be coming very close to having 24 votes from based on the vote the other day, on Friday, which I found shocking. I found it shocking that so many members of the legislature are willing to put this on the ballot of the people of Colorado. And as our great senator from Canyon City pointed out, we've never even come close to debating it on the floor of the Senate or the House. I'm one of those ones that's been here for a while, if you count my service in the House. And I haven't seen it the whole time I've been here. This is my 10th year at the Capitol. We have not had a bill that says we're going to raise the salaries for these, not even a bill introduced. So if we haven't introduced bills to that effect, then to say that we considered it this year and it didn't fly is not correct. It's not even been introduced this year. And I am, of course, reinforcing an argument that my gentleman colleague from Canyon City made much better than I am right now on Friday's debate. Take this very seriously. Take this very seriously. Can you honestly say that any of your constituents have called you up and said, for goodness sakes, raise the salaries of those elected officials? And I will promise you that none of your constituents called you and asked you to raise salaries for any elected officials. So I ask you from the bottom of my heart to vote no on this. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Madam President. Just 2 points of contention. In 2006, I did run a bill that raised county salaries. I think you were here, good senator from Centennial. I did run that bill. Also, this does not raise anybody's salaries. It sets in place a process that you may or may not get a salary increase from, but you have a way to figure it out, plus or minus.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. With 16 counties, I have 25% of the counties in the state of Colorado. And out of those 16 counties, I can assure you that none of them are huge counties population-wise, but I do believe that they would like to have the right to make the judgment as to whether to raise their salaries or not. I do believe that I think a lot of this bill is unfortunately is political, where it is an election year, and people try to get out the impression that they don't want to raise anything. But the reality is we've raised the state employees, we've raised the education, the teachers' salary. And this is not about raising salaries in the county level. This is about giving them the ability to take a look at their individual counties' finances to see what they can do. And I think that, I have a lot of trust in these people, the county commissioners and whatnot, to do the right thing. But I think I'm going to stand in favor of this resolution. My 25% of the counties of the state are for this. Thank you.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I have half the number that the good senator from Alamosa has, but my 8 counties also have a strong interest in this. And I say it because while I didn't receive the phone call at the Cortez Ag Expo a year ago, this is not a new issue. And so this came up, and so I asked the folks who were struggling mightily with the recession still, and they were split. There were people who said, we want good people in these offices. They handle our money, they handle our property, they have very important roles. We honor and respect them by electing them into office, and they were split. And the ones who were not sure or opposed said, gosh, we're not really doing all that well yet. I have some of my 8 counties who have rebounded from the recession, some who have not. Bringing this to the more local level, because the state has not done its job. I sat on local government committee, heard the reports on this years ago now. We haven't dealt with it. We keep kicking that can down the road. This asked the voters. It asked the voters to weigh in on it. I think that's very appropriate, and I thank the senator from Brighton for sticking with the issue.
Senator King.
Thank you, President Carroll. If you got or didn't get calls from your constituents talking about raises, why not let them vote? Whether you got calls or you didn't get calls, why not let them vote? This didn't come from the people. This didn't come from the people. It will have come from the people after the vote. Direct guidance to this building as to what we want to do in reference to this. This has been a contentious issue for a long period of time. So let the people decide. Then we have direction. Then it does come from the people.
Senator Grantham.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the answer to the question that I asked on Friday. I asked, where's the bill? Haven't seen one. I haven't voted on one since I've been here. Heard a lot about it. But we got the answer to that question now. That bill is in 2006. That bill was offered years ago. Where has it been since then? We still have not done our constitutional duty as outlined for us. What troubles me here, folks, is that this bill title says, in many other ways in describing this bill, it says divesting the General Assembly of that function. Isn't it interesting that apparently it is easier for us as a legislature, as a Senate, to get 24 votes to get rid of our constitutional duty than it is to garner 18 votes to do it. I'd ask for a no vote.
The question before the body is the adoption of Senate Concurrent Resolution 3. Are there any no votes? Senators Balmer, Shuffle, Grantham, Lambert, Marble, Rivera, Hill, Renfro, Ulibarri, John, Zenzinger, Kerr, with 23 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 fails. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1383?
House Bill 1383 by Representative Williams and Senators Stocktrop and Ulibarri concerning the required number of physicians that must be provided to an injured employee for selection of a treating physician in workers' compensation cases.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. We move House Bill 1383 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Senator Stocktrop, did you want to speak?
Vote yes.
The question is the adoption of House Bill 1383. Are there any no votes? Senators Grantham, Baumgartner, Lambert, Brophy, Herpin, Shuffle, Renfro, Lundberg, Marble, Mr. Minority Leader, Balmer, Hill, Roberts, King, Rivera, Crowder. With 19 ayes, 16 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1383 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Jones, Nicholson, Zenzinger. Please add the president. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1118?
House Bill 1118 by Representative Wilson, Senator Todd, concerning the creation of the Advanced Placement Incentives Pilot Program in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Todd.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Good morning. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone. I move House Bill 1118 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1118. Any no votes? Senators Lambert, Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Shuffle, Crowder, Baumgartner, Harvey, Lundberg, Marble, Renfro, Rivera, King, Roberts, Hill, Balmer. With 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1118 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Schwartz, Kafalas, Nicholson. Madam President Pro Tem. Senator Toctrop and Senator Newell. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1085?
House Bill 1085 by Representative Fields and Senator Zenzinger concerning adult education in connection therewith creating the Adult Education Literacy Grant Program to provide state monies for adult education programs to participate in workforce development partnerships and making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1085 on third and final reading and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1085. Are there no votes? Senators Lambert, Crowder, Harvey, Baumgartner, Brophy, Herpin, Shuffle, Marble, Grantham, Renfro, Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Rivera, Hill, Lundberg, Balmer. With 20 ayes, 15 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1085 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senators Roberts, Kerr, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Nicholson, Jones, Todd, Newell, Schwartz, Stedman, Johnston, Toctrop, Ulibarri, Kafalas. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1015?
House Bill 1015 by Representative Kraft Harper, Senator Kerr concerning an extension of the Transitional Jobs Program in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1015 on third reading and final passage. I ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1015. Any no votes? Senators Crowder, Harvey, Baumgartner, Shuffle, Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Renfro, Grantham, Marble, Lundberg, Brophy, Lambert, Balmer, Hill, King. With 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1015 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senators Aguilar, Toctrop, Nicholson, Zenzinger, Kafalas, Schwartz, Todd, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Newell, Senator Rivera. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1301?
House Bill 1301 by Representative Mitch Bush and Senator Kerr concerning the Safe Routes to School program in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1301 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like permission for a third reading amendment on this.
Senator Crowder, please explain why we should grant permission for a third reading amendment.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. What this is about is that, the amendment is basically for the financing of the program. If you look at the bill, there's $700,000 that is submitted for on the physical note, and an additional $3 million that is paid by the state, and the federal government has backed off. If you look at the bill title, this is for the trails, bike safety, and I do believe, in checking the Constitution on the GOCO, and that there may very well be a possibility that we as a state can apply for funding for this, because it does finance trails and it does finance open space, and I just have to believe that we will never know until we try. But I'd like the state of Colorado to actually make application to the GOCO grant for funding for this, and that's what the amendment's about.
Any further discussion on the request for permission? Senator Kerr?
Thank you, Madam President. I would very respectfully disagree on the constitutional interpretation here. I don't think that the majority of the infrastructure or educational programs that would have been funded or would continue to be funded under this would at least cleanly fit under what the Constitution says about funds from GOCO. So I would ask for a no vote.
Senator Crowder?
Thank you, Madam President. I do believe that if this indeed is an obesity bill and the trails are set up for that purpose to get children more active, I do believe this is a good fit for GOCO. And I would ask the sponsor to, instead of refusing this, I think because if we do not try this, we will never know. But I do believe that we could set this up, and the funding for that may very well indeed fit that. We won't know until we as a state would have to make application. But I would encourage an aye vote on this and to see.
The question is whether or not to grant permission to Senator Crowder to offer a third reading amendment on House Bill 1301. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Permission is granted. Mr. Majors, would you please read L010?
L010 to House Bill 1301.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I move L010 on 1301 and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion on L010, Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll just reiterate that I don't think that this fits under the constitutional provisions of where money from GOCO should be going. I'd also say that even if it did, it's setting up money from that fund already goes to trails and open space to help prevent obesity, to make sure that there are places for people to exercise. And if we were to do this, we'd be setting up the money that is specifically designed on Safe Routes to Schools, specifically designed for kids getting to and from school safely, conflicting with each other and fighting over the same pot of money. So regardless of whether a student is using a trail or open space to get from home to school or from school back to home. So I'd ask for a no vote.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to really thank the senator next to me for making my argument. I think we should set a precedence on this. I do not believe there'd be a big fight in GOCO because I think there's ample money to go around, especially since the amount of people using that. So I would look at this as a new concept, new idea, and I would ask for an aye vote on it.
Senator Harvey.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, members, I think this is a really good amendment. Was that anywhere close to Crowder? No? All right.
No.
I do think this is a friendly amendment. There you go. That's better. Actually, I do think this is a good amendment. The bill says 25% of Colorado's morning traffic congestion results from driving students to school, contributing to poor air quality around schools and increased rates of child obesity. That is what GOCO is all about, is helping to buy open space and trails to help kids with obesity. This is a great amendment to say that the organization in the state that is entrusted with building trails, that has more money than God, if this is an appropriate premise that we have safe trails to school, that we go to GOCO and ask them to help us fund this. If this is appropriate public policy, then why shouldn't we go to the one organization that has more money than the general fund?
Senator Renfro.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd also rise in support of this amendment. Members, this is about priorities and choices. The current bill in its current form has $700,000 coming out of the general fund. So what does that mean? That's $700,000 less that we could put into our schools to buy down the negative factor. That's $700,000 less to fill in the blank from every bill that is down here that has general fund dollars within it. We have bills going to committee, conference committee in the House that are going to have cuts in them because we've overspent our general fund and our state ed fund. This is an opportunity to use funds that are designated for trails to help our children. And that goes even beyond the bill in itself. The first thing I'd say, I guess, is this really the role of the legislature to do this and to put this program and this grant program in place? And I ask you that because who's in charge of our local roads, the local trails, the local bike paths on the roads, how to designate those? Who's in charge to get kids to and from school and to design the crosswalks, the places that we need, the flashing signs for student crossing? Whose role is that? Is that ours down here? Or should that be the local issue with the local school board and the local community? I know in my local community, our school board, when I was on the Eaton School Board, we worked with the town and set up where we were going to have the cross guards, where we were going to do things for whatever the main flows of students to our schools was. And so what this amendment does is this would allow some state dollars to come into that process through the GOCO funds, so it wouldn't come out of the general fund to fund these routes to schools. So I'd ask for an aye vote on this amendment.
Further discussion on Amendment L010. Question for the body is the adoption of L010. Are there any no votes? Senators Stedman, Kerr, Toctrap, Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Ulibarri, Jones, John, Nicholson, Kafalas, Zenzinger, Schwartz, Todd, Johnston, Newell, Hodge, Madam President Pro Tem. Please add the President. With 17 ayes, 18 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, L010 fails. Back to House Bill 1301. Any further discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1301. Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Shuffle, Marble, Harvey, Lambert, Baumgartner, Lundberg, Balmer, Roberts, Renfro, Hill. With 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1301 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Kafalas, Senator Todd, Senator Nicholson. Mr. Majority Leader, co-sponsors on House Bill 1301, Senator Aguilar, Senator King. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1023?
House Bill 1023 by Representative Lee and Senator Ulibarri concerning the provision of social workers to juveniles and in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1023 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1023. Any no votes? Senators Lambert, Baumgartner, Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Crowder, Shuffle, Grantham, Marble, Harvey, Herpin, Brophy, Balmer, Roberts, King, Renfro, Rivera. With 20 ayes, 15 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1023 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Aguilar, Nicholson, Kafalis, Newell, Todd, Toptrop, Schwartz. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1387?
House Bill 1387 by Representatives Abel and Fisher and Senator Schwartz concerning revisions of capital-related statutes in the Colorado Revised Statutes in connection therewith amending or repealing obsolete, inconsistent, and conflicting provisions of law and clarifying the language to reflect legislative intent and current application of the law.
Senator Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1387 on third reading and final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1387. Any no votes? Senator Baumgartner. Senator Marble. Were you at? Senator Marble, did you mean to be a no? Senator Marble is not a no. Okay. Any other no votes on House Bill 1387? With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1387 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1379?
House Bill 1379 by Representative McCann and Senator Kerr concerning clarifying the application of spousal maintenance statutes.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1379 on third reading and final passage. I ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1379. Any no votes? Senator Baumgartner. Senators Lambert, Marble, Harvey, Grantham, Mr. Minority Leader, Senator Shuffle, Senators King, Rivera, Lundberg, Senator Marble, I've got you, Senator Hill, Senator Renfro. With 23 ayes, 12 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1379 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Kafalis, Newell, Zenzinger. Todd. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1378?
House Bill 1378 by Representative Stevens, Pabon, Senators King and Hodge concerning prohibiting the posting of a private image on social media without consent to cause serious emotional distress.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Madam President. We move House Bill 1378 on third reading and final passage.
Any discussion? Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam President. Somehow I am in the situation of asking for a third reading amendment on House Bill 1378.
All right, let's start with permission. Senator Johnston, why should we grant it?
The amendment used to have the sponsor's name on it, but somehow it ended up with my name on it. I'm not sure how that happened. Something about a perfect record to maintain over 8 years. But I'm happy to bring you a technical amendment, which is striking or on line, striking an or and replacing with an and for the criteria on harassment, which was an agreed upon terms that's matching other parts of statute. It was just something that we left out in the original proposal. So it replaces or with an and for the criteria for harassment, which is an important constitutional inclusion.
Senator King.
Thank you, President Carroll. We would consider this a friendly amendment.
Question is whether to grant permission to Senator Johnston to amend someone else's bill on third reading. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senator Johnston is granted permission. Mr. Majors, would you please read L024? Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Madam President. I certainly apologize to the sponsors for meddling in their bill. I would ask for an aye vote on Amendment 24 on third reading.
Did you move it?
I move Amendment 24.
Thank you. Any discussion on L024? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, L024 is adopted. Back to House Bill 1378. Any no votes? Yeah. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1378 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, Senator Lambert, co-sponsor on 1378. And Senators Newell, Todd, Jones, Johnston, Herpin. Mr. Majority Leader. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1388?
House Bill 1388 by Representatives Foot and Pedersen and Senator Stedman concerning a civil cause of action for damages that result from an unlawful termination of a pregnancy at any time prior to the birth caused by at least reckless conduct without establishing legal personhood at any time prior to a live birth.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1388 on third reading and final passage.
Any discussion? Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I discussed my deep concerns with this bill on second reading, and I won't repeat all of that, but I will remind you of a couple of things on this bill. One is, as I said in second reading debate, I believe it's not only turning a blind eye to the reality of the value of human life, but a cold eye. And that's deeply concerning to me. Even within the title, it makes it clear that it's not just talking about the legal justice that should be provided for in law if an unborn baby is killed. And of course, we dealt with that in an earlier bill on the criminal side with the equal illogic that this bill applies. But this bill is, in my opinion, a political statement. And it's deeply concerning to me that we take such a serious issue as the unlawful death of a child and turn it into a political football. And I believe that this, or a political statement, let's put it that way, by an extreme view that an unborn child has no rights at all. We just as soon not have it exist, it seems. We're certainly not going to attribute to it any intrinsic value of human life. And that's what this bill does. It somehow tries to twist around that inconvenient fact and still acknowledge that the mother has been wronged. Absolutely, the mother has been wronged. But it ignores the fact that it's because the baby has been killed. I leave you with this final point. I borrow a phrase that's been oft used. And that is to support this legislation is to miss the arc of history. Because more and more citizens across this country and in this state are coming to realize that life begins far before birth. It could almost be excused in a culture that didn't understand the medicine, the biological facts of the matter. But the life begins long before birth. And to turn a blind eye to that fact is to miss something that more and more citizens are coming to realize. And I believe that in generations to come, this tragedy that bleeds over in so many areas, and it's true, this doesn't deal with the abortion issue, but this deals with the life issue. And future generations will look back and shake their head in disbelief, even as we look back and wonder how in the world this country allowed slavery to occur. So too, I see the process already taking place where people are coming around to realize that unborn children are people as well, and should be afforded those rights, and should be afforded the dignity of Colorado law recognizing that when their life is taken, it should be seen in and of itself as a great wrong. House Bill 1388 papers over that reality. We could do better. Future legislation, I believe, will do better.
Senator Renfro.
Thank you, Madam President. The only thing I wanted to add to this in asking for a no vote is talking about lines 2 and 3 on page 4 of this bill. And to think of our history as a nation, or even just the history of mankind in how we treat people, how we have treated people, how we have discriminated against people, how we have said things through time to not give people the status, the right to vote, the right to be free, how we've given people the badge of property through time, and how we've come to realize our mistakes and the errors of societies that have done that. What are we doing here in this bill? Nothing in this Part 12 shall be construed to confer the status of person. So today in this chamber, in this session, we're going to go down the path of saying who is and who is not a person. You don't qualify as a person because. This is what we're saying. Just as past societies said the same thing to slaves. Past societies said the same thing to women. You don't have the right. You're not the right type of person. I think science today shows beyond any doubt that there is life. That it's a miracle, there is life there. And it's a unique life form from the very beginning. But yet we're saying it is not a person. That's what we're doing here today. We're taking that high ground or low ground, however you want to say it, to say that, no, you're not, you don't have the status, you have not risen to the status of person. If you vote yes for that today, that is what you're doing. You're no better than past generations in my mind that would not give the rights to every person. Grant the status of person to every unique living human and vote no on this bill.
Is the adoption of House Bill 1388. Any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Shuffle, Crowder, Baumgartner, Harvey, Lambert, Brophy, Herpin, Lundberg, Marble, Grantham, Renfro, Rivera, Roberts, Hill, Balmer, King. With 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1388 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Ulibarri, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Toktrop, Senators Aguilar, Nicholson. Please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1279?
House Bill 1279 by Representatives Primavera and Young and Senators Heath and Shuffle concerning the creation of a state income tax credit to reimburse a business for personal property taxes paid in the state.
Senator Shuffle.
Thank you, President Carroll. We move House Bill 1279 on third reading for final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1279. Any no votes? Senator Lambert, Senator Harvey, Senator Brophy, Senator Ulibarri. With 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1279 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator John, Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Kafalas, Rivera, Johnston, Newell. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for reconsideration of House Bill 1373.
The motion is for reconsideration on House Bill 1373. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We will take up reconsideration of House Bill 1373. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1373?
Larry?
House Bill 1373 by Representatives Lepsog and Scott and Senators Crowder and Zenzinger concerning individuals who may claim the property tax exemption for qualifying seniors and disabled veterans.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam President. I remove House Bill 1373 on third reading and final adoption and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion? Question is adoption of House Bill 1373. Are there any no votes? Senators Harvey, Baumgartner, Marble, Balmer, Lambert. Renfro. With 29 ayes, 6 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1373 is adopted. Any additional co-sponsors? Senator King. Senator Shuffle.
Thank you, President Carroll. Having voted on the prevailing side, would ask for immediate reconsideration of SCR 003.
Question is reconsideration of Senate Concurrent Resolution 3. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We will reconsider Senate Concurrent Resolution 3. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Concurrent Resolution 3?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 by Senator Hodge, Representative Rosenthal, submitting to the registered electors of the state of Colorado an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning local determination of county officer salaries, and in connection therewith authorizing counties to establish salaries for county commissioners, sheriffs, treasurers, assessors, clerks, coroners, and surveyors, divesting the General Assembly of that function, and directing the General Assembly to create citizens' commissions in each county for the purpose of regularly evaluating county officer salaries.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 on third reading, final passage, and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion. Question is the adoption of Senate Concurrent Resolution 3. Are there any no votes? Senators Balmer, Hill, Lambert, Harvey, Marble, Shuffle, Grantham, Renfro, Rivera, Ulibarri, John, Zenzinger. Mr. Minority Leader, Senator Kerr, With 21 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 fails. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we reconsider House Bill 1279.
The motion is to reconsider House Bill 1279. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We will reconsider House Bill 1279. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1279?
House Bill 1279 by Representatives Primavera and Young and Senators Heath and Shovel concerning the creation of a state income tax credit to reimburse a business for personal property taxes paid in the state.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. We renew our motion for House Bill 1279 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1279. Any no votes? Senators Ulibarri, Jones, Harvey, Lambert, Brophy. With 30 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1279 is adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. In a moment, I'm going to move that we take up special orders to go ahead and do the second reading consent calendar. Just so you know, we've moved everything from on second reading from today and tomorrow and combined them, and this is the first of that. So we will be dealing with bills on second reading from both today and tomorrow to free up our calendar for what we know is coming, and appreciate all of your help with that. And just so you know, we're going to be going through just shortly before 1 o'clock, and then we're going to have House and Senate meetings on conference committees, just to give you a little feel of what's going to happen. So with that, Madam President, I move the Senate take up House Bill 1396, 1394, 1361, 1367, 1351, 1309, 1002, and Senate Bill 222 on special order second reading of bills consent calendar at the hour of 11:55, and yes, and I've been requested to remove House Bill 1396 from the consent calendar and placed at the end of second reading of bills general orders.
So, members, we'll clean up this motion momentarily. The reiteration of the schedule was that we'll work until 1. We'll break. Those of you on conference committees, they'll be meeting then, if not lunch. Afternoon committees at 1:30. We'll be back on the floor at 4:30. And Mr. Majority Leader, I think with that one bill removed, if I understand your motion is House Bill now 1394, 1361, 1367, 1351, 1309, House Bill 1002, and Senate Bill 222 be taken up at the hour of which?
11:55.
Okay, at the hour of 11:55. For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We will take up special order second reading of bills calendar on the bills listed at 11:55. The Senate will stand in a brief recess to allow those calendars to be prepared and distributed. The Senate will come back to order. Special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into committee of the whole for the purposes of considering special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself to committee of the whole for purpose of considering special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Ulibarri will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the court rule is relaxed, and that includes staff as well. Mr. Majors, would you please read the titles to all the bills listed on the consent calendar?
House Bill 1394 by Representative Duran, Senator Lambert, concerning the use of disputed payments of tobacco litigation settlement monies received by the state to reduce the annual amount of accelerated payments allocated from the tobacco litigation settlement cash fund. House Bill 1361 by Representatives McNulty and Singer, Senators Guzman and King, concerning the authority of the state licensing authority to establish equivalencies for retail marijuana products in connection therewith making an appropriation. House Bill 1367 by Representative Tyler and Senator Brophy, concerning the exemption of autocycles from regulation as motorcycles and in connection therewith defining autocycle, exempting autocycles from motorcycle statutes, requiring autocycles be issued license plates similar to motorcycle license plates and making an appropriation. House Bill 1351 by Representatives Norberg and Ryden, Senators Todd and Herbin, concerning a requirement that the Colorado Office of Economic Development work to maintain the state's positive relationship with the United States Armed Forces. House Bill 1309 by Representative Gardner and Senator Stedman, concerning repurposing the day surgery center of the Denver Reception and Diagnostic Center into an auxiliary medical facility. House Bill 1002 by Representative Young and Senator Jones, concerning the establishment of a grant program under the Colorado Water Quality Control Act to repair water infrastructure impacted by a natural disaster and in connection therewith making an appropriation. Senate Bill 222 by Senator Aguilar and Representative Giroux, concerning the duration of a license to use a registration number when auctioned to raise money for the Disability Benefit Support Fund.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the adoption of all the bills listed in the special order, second reading bills, consent calendar, and their associated committee reports, which includes House Bills 1394, House Bill 1361, House Bill 1367 and its Appropriations Committee report, House Bill 1351, 1309, 1002 and its Appropriations Committee report, and Senate Bill 222.
Is there any discussion on any of the committee reports of the bills listed on special orders consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the committee reports to all the bills on special order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills listed on special orders consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on special order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move we rise and report.
Motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
May 5th, 2014, Madam President, your committee of the whole picks up reports item in consideration of the foreign attached bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 222 passed on second reading in order to grow space the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1394, House Bill 1361, House Bill 1367 as amended, House Bill 1351, House Bill 1309, House Bill 1002 as amended, passed on second reading in order to revised and placed on the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Any discussion? Questions of the adoption of the committee of the whole report? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 222 passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1394, House Bill 1361, House Bill 1367 as amended, House Bill 1351, House Bill 1309, House Bill 1002 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered, revised, placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to move that we move up on special orders, second reading of calendars for today and tomorrow. So with that, Madam President, I move that the Senate take up House Bills 1001, 1316, 1360, 1319, 1381, 1385, 1366, 1343, 1384, 1376, 1382, 1102, and 1029 on special orders, second reading of bills at the hour of, excuse me, and I needed to add 1396 at the hour of 12:05.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate, we will take up special orders of bills consisting of House Bill 1001, House Bills 1316, 1360, 1319, 1381, 1385, 1366, 1343, 1384, 1376, 1382, House Bill 1102, 1029, and House Bill 1396 at the hour of 12:05. The Senate will stand in a brief recess while we prepare and distribute those calendars. Senate will come back to order. Special orders, second reading of bills, Senator Ulibarri. You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into a committee of the whole for purpose of considering special orders, second reading of bills calendar, and Senator Ulibarri will take the chair.
Irene, you're going to do 13, 16, take the chair, which is the one after, right away. I'm going to.
The committee will come to order, and the coat rule is relaxed. That extends to the sergeants and staff as well. Mr. Majors, would you actually? Okay. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move we take move House Bill 1001 to the end of a second reading of bills special orders.
You've heard the motion to lay over House Bill 1001 to the end of the calendar. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. That will lay over. Mr. Majors, can you please read the title to House Bill 1316?
House Bill 1316 by Representatives Williams and Salazar and Senators Ulibarri and Guzman concerning methods to determine whether disparities involving certain historically underutilized businesses exist within the state procurement process, and in connection therewith commissioning a study to make such determination, requiring the Department of Personnel to track contracts awarded to historically underutilized businesses and making and reducing appropriations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1316 on second reading.
That's a proper motion to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Both Senator Ulibarri and I are sponsors of this bill. This bill is concerning methods to determine whether disparities involving certain historically underutilized businesses exist within the state procurement process. Members, most businesses in the state of Colorado have, as far as a good business practice, a process in which they can determine how they are doing in terms of fairness and equality, in terms of contracts that they are issuing. And this bill would bring about a situation where the state would enter through the Department of Personnel would enter into a contractual agreement with an entity to do an analysis of the state's procurement program.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also rise in support of this bill and thank my co-prime sponsor for all of her leadership on this issue. This bill is supported by a broad coalition outside of this building, including the Colorado Association of Commerce and Industry, the Women's Chamber of Commerce, the Colorado Black Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the AFL-CIO. I think what we need to understand is when we look at issues of statewide concern, we need to start with data, and we need to understand what challenges may exist for homegrown businesses that are here and haven't had a fair opportunity to compete for state contracts. What this does is create a baseline to understand how we move forward as a state in ensuring that our small businesses, our locally grown businesses, those that have been historically underutilized in state procurement have a fair shot to succeed in competing for state contracts. So with that, renew our ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Minority Leader Cadman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm not supporting this bill because it's absolutely impractical to try to apply the standards that are required in the bill. Virtually what you would need is an incredible in-depth audit of every company that does any contracting at any level of the state. And if you look through it, it is very comprehensive, whether it's legal work or computer services, IT. The billions of dollars that are spent through these contracts with these companies would now require us to have some sort of mechanism to audit the human resource component of every one of those companies. And I'm pretty sure that companies don't keep an exclusive track of their employees based on the characteristics identified in here. I don't believe there's an inventory or a list that human resource managers keep that could even come close to complying with the requirements in this to identify what the makeup of those companies includes. If it were possible, it certainly wouldn't be possible for $650,000. Ask for a no vote.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To respond to some of the concerns that were raised, this is a standard practice that many forms of government have used, including other states, municipalities, to really investigate what is working or not working in procurement. The City of Denver has gone through a similar process. As I've said, a handful of other states have done the same. What we know anecdotally is not always gospel, and that's why you need to actually verify what's happening within the system to ensure that it's equitable across the state. I will say that there is a data problem, and that's an important thing that was raised by the minority leader. We have a challenge in this year, especially, where we're transferring data systems in the Department of Personnel Administration, and we'll have a very difficult time being able to go back for historical data to understand what may have been the challenges or barriers for women-owned businesses to compete fairly for contracts in the state of Colorado, or veteran-owned businesses to actually compete side by side with a larger business. This is designed to go back and dig into the data, and it's possible to do. You'll also notice in the bill there is a requirement that moving forward, that the state procurement system that is administered by the Department of Personnel and Administration actually maintain information about those historically underutilized businesses, so we can actually do this in a much easier way. It's not something we had the foresight to do before, and something that we should have the foresight to do now, so we ensure that the ability to compete for state contracts is equitable. This is a study that looks into all of those that currently use the Department of Personnel and Administration for contracting, and it's not an audit of the businesses, it's an audit of the procurement practices that we use as a state to ensure that they're fair. So wanted to create the distinction based on the questions that were raised.
Is there any further discussion? Minority Leader Cadman.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairman. But the requirement of the bill says you actually have to get to this information within the businesses that you're trying to evaluate to determine if they are part of this underutilized contracting situation, and the list is very comprehensive. So I don't know how you find out about the businesses and how they meet these components unless you actually have the information about those businesses, and it is incredibly comprehensive. Historically underutilized business means a business that is at least 51% owned by one or more individuals who are, and then it goes down, United States citizens or permanent resident aliens, and one or more of the following: members of a racial or ethnic minority group, non-Hispanic Caucasian women, veterans of the United States Armed Forces, persons with physical or mental disabilities, or members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community, and for which the minority ownership controls both management and day-to-day business decisions. And then it goes through the definitions of what these include. Persons with physical or mental disabilities means persons who have impairments that substantially limit one or more major life activities, are regarded generally by the community as having a disability, and whose disabilities substantially limit their abilities to engage in competitive businesses. Racial or ethnic minority group means African American persons, meaning individuals having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Hispanic American persons, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Central or South American, or other Spanish or Portuguese. Asian American persons, including persons whose origins are from Japan, China, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, the Philippines, Samoa, the United States territories of the Pacific, or the Northern Mariana Islands, or persons whose origins are from the subcontinent Asia, including persons whose origins are from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, or Nepal, or, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. This information is incredibly specific. I'm not even sure the census data reflects this diverse amount of information, and you certainly don't have to supply an employer or a contractor with your census evaluation when you apply for a job. This is absolutely impossible to undertake. Impossible. Not exactly sure what the goal is, but this doesn't get you there. Ask for a no.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I asked for your support of House Bill 1316 in committee. It was a really interesting testimony. People were coming in and saying, I think this is happening, I think that's happening, but there was nothing there that was provable, that was empirical, that could be really figured out based on what actual facts had taken place. And that's what this bill's all about. Let's find out the facts. Let's find out if people have a beef and if it's legit or if it's not. It just makes a ton of sense to me to have empirical data, some facts to make decisions on, and that's what this bill does, and I'd ask for a yes vote.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to rise again and indicate that much of the information that was just enumerated by the minority leader is currently submitted to the Small Business Administration if you're looking for a qualification as a minority business enterprise. It's information that's already being disclosed, and information that generally is readily available. I think it's important to note that if you're a women-owned business, you're going to submit certification to prove you are for federal contracting. The same is true here. The information exists. This is not without challenge, I'll admit that, but it is within reach, and we have access to that information.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have to stand in opposition to this bill also. I do believe there's an ulterior motive here. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I do tend to believe that it creates.
Senator Crowder, you're not allowed to question motives. You can proceed if you.
I apologize for that. But, can I continue?
Yes, you may continue.
I believe that this is, I'm not sure I believe that this is a situation that's good for business or the people within the state. And for that, I need to oppose this.
Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll kindly disagree with the comments. As the bill has been endorsed by the statewide Chamber of Commerce, many businesses of commerce, both that are regionally located and those that serve specific business interests like the Women's Chamber of Commerce, they do think this is good for business. That's why they've endorsed the bill and supported it broadly.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1316? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1316, and division has been called. Will all those in the chamber who are entitled to vote, excuse me, will all those in the chamber who are entitled to vote please take a seat? Who are not entitled to vote, sorry, please take a seat. Okay. The motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1316. All those in favor, please stand. All those opposed, please be seated, and then all those opposed, please stand. The motion fails. Would Mr. Majors please read the title to House Bill 1360?
House Bill 1360 by Representative Young and Senator Aguilar concerning the continuation of the regulation of home care agencies by the Department of Public Health and Environment in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the 2013 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies as modified by the Legislative Sunset Committee and making an appropriation.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1360 and the committee report.
To the Health and Human Services Committee report.
It was actually primarily technical, an amendment to straighten out numbers and be sure we substituted the correct language.
Is there any further discussion on the Health and Human Services Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Health and Human Services Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is actually a sunset review that Senator Toktrop is not carrying. because it's in the arena of home care agencies, was heard in the Health Committee. This is a licensing we do to ensure that people who have healthcare workers coming into their home are protected and have well-qualified people attending them. There are a couple of changes, and they're related to the PACE program and to trying to work out some of the inconsistencies between the licensure requirements for our disability services providers, and I would ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1360? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1360. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 1360 is adopted. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1319.
House Bill 1319 by Representatives Ferrandino and Holbert, Senators Lambert and Tom, concerning the creation of an outcomes-based funding model for higher education in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1319, and I move the committee reports of Senate Education Committee and Senate Appropriations Committee.
To the Education Committee report. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the Senate Education Committee, there were a few technical, well, not technical, some of them were substantial amendments here about being able for the higher education individual institutions to transfer money within their institutions from fee-for-service to lower the cost of tuition for their students. That really started out with the University of Colorado asking for that, and we extended another amendment which gives that options to all institutions of higher education. There was another sponsored technical amendment which just clarified one of the sections of law that was misprinted on the original document. And then there was a provision which emphasized the fact that the institutions of higher education can or should consider high-cost graduate and undergraduate programs within their institutions for how they set their funding matrix and their budget requests. So I'd ask for an aye vote on the Senate Education Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Education Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Education Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Education Committee report is adopted. To the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Appropriations Committee had some technical, well, just slight changes to the appropriation that was already within the bill, and just trued it up with the changes that were made in the Education Committee. So I'd ask for an aye vote on the Appropriations Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Appropriations Committee report is adopted. To the bill. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L039 to House Bill 1319.
There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, please read the amendment to L039.
Amendment L039 to House Bill 1319 by Senators Lambert and Todd, amend Education Committee report dated April 30th.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. L039 repeats some language, I believe, that's in another part of the bill. It allows institutions to receive some financial credit when students transfer from a college to another institution. And again, it was fits within the intent of the bill. It was just something that was not caught on the original discussion and writing of the bill. So I'd ask for an aye vote on L039.
Is there any further discussion on L039? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L039. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and L039 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All of those amendments having been processed here, House Bill 1319 extends some of the work that the body has done in, actually for the last probably 10 years, in identifying problems within higher education funding As you all know, I guess it was about 9 years ago, the College Opportunity Fund passed. That had basically two divisions, fee-for-service and student stipends. And those really were not tracked according to their performance on higher education outcomes. Speaker Ferrandino and I had been working on this for quite some time, and we, after several years actually of discussion on this, with analysis done by the Joint Budget Committee staff and others, plus a number of discussions with all the higher education stakeholders, have come up with the performance-based metric or matrix of how higher education institutions can present their budget request when those are due on the 1st of November of each year. I think this provides a tremendous amount of increased transparency to their higher education requests. It's a phased-in program over about 5 years. I would expect that the legislature may look at this and make changes as that goes along, but we've tried to avoid any harm to institutions, at the same time provide more clarity about performance of higher education institutions so they can be discussed more thoroughly between CCHE, the Joint Budget Committee when we receive those requests, and the legislature as a whole. So I'd ask for an aye vote on House Bill 1319.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will reiterate the asking for an aye vote on 1319 as well. However, I do want to make a couple of comments, and that is that when we started looking at this bill, and I do know that Senator Lambert and Representative or Speaker Ferrandino had been working on this for quite a long time, but I think one of the most important pieces to this is that we are looking at the involvement of CCHE, the Colorado Commission of Higher Education, and so looking at the broad scope, the big picture of all of our higher education opportunities for students in Colorado will be inclusive, and it does provide additional funding to institutions that serve Pell-eligible first-generation underserved students. Those are important goals for us as a state of Colorado as those particular populations continue to grow. And thirdly, it does include the critical role of successful student transfer from community college to four-year institutions. We've done a lot of good work down here for higher education, and I think this is just one more step in the right direction. And we've funded higher ed a certain way for many, many years, and so this does give us an opportunity to revisit and look at opportunities in a different way. And with that, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1319.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1319? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1319. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 1319 is passed. Mr. Majors, can you please read the title to House Bill 1381?
House Bill 1381 by Representative Fields and Senator Todd concerning adoption of a school closure plan as a requirement for closing a low-performing public school.
You can.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I move House Bill 1381 and the Education Committee report.
To the Education Committee report.
To the Education Committee report. Basically, what we did is that we inserted a fairly minor change, and that is simply the communication needs to be in writing, and that basically was what we did in the Education Committee report. And I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill or the Education Committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Education Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Education Committee report is adopted. There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, please read L004.
Amendment L004, House Bill 1381.
I move Amendment L004.
To the amendment?
Thank you. I consider this a friendly amendment. All this does is incorporate into the process some sort of mechanism by which the community can actually give feedback to the school district and the school on their closure plan. It just sort of closes the loop in the communication plan. It says specifically that this will be done in writing and that the school district and the school will offer up some sort of mechanism for them to be able to take in feedback.
Is there any further discussion on L004? Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do consider this a friendly amendment and urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Crowder. Not on the amendment. Oh, okay. Is there any further discussion on L004? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L004. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and L004 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Todd. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a question for the sponsor. Is this forward thinking on, do you anticipate schools closing?
Senator Todd.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Crowder, we do have a process that has been in place, and that is for schools that are underperforming, that there's kind of a course that they follow, and if they have gone through all of the different steps, then there is a recommendation that the school is actually closed. That has been in process. The problem with, and that's why this bill came along, is for us to make sure that we are really engaging and involving the community, the students, the teachers, and the staff. And so that's where we're saying, if indeed you get to that point, then there needs to be that communication in writing.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1381? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1381. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 1381 is adopted. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1385.
House Bill 1385 by Representatives Pirola and Pettis, Senators Johnson and Rivera, concerning creation of high school academic growth awards corresponding to high school athletic award classifications.
Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move House Bill 1385 in second reading and ask for an aye vote. And I do have an amendment coming up.
That's an appropriate motion. Senator Rivera.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, please read L004.
Amendment L004 to House Bill 1385 by Senator Johnson, amending reading rules, bill page 2, line 18, after the answer, Peter
Senator
Groff.
Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a small little bill that Senator Rivera and I are proud to carry together, which adds a recognition for schools that have the most significant academic growth in the state. We have a lot of times where we bring down state champions to this chamber in different athletic endeavors, which we are proud to celebrate them on. We have nice rivalries about that. We also have students doing amazing work on academic growth, and we thought it'd be nice to also have a similar statewide recognition for that. And maybe this is just that I'm getting old, or I've been in this chamber a long time, but I feel like it's appropriate to begin to have some deference for folks that have come before us and on whose shoulders we stand. And so I talked to Senator Sheffel and a couple other folks about this, and we thought we might propose naming this award after our first African-American president of the Senate, Peter Groff, who was instrumental in developing the academic growth metrics for this state, and who was very invested in education and was certainly a trailblazer in his own time, and so that's what this amendment does.
Is there any further discussion on L004? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L004. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that is adopted. To the bill. Senator Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, this bill, attempts to incentivize students to excel in academics just as they do in sports and athletics, and to apply the same type of awards program as we have in the sports arena, so that folks that are not maybe adept in physical activity and football and baseball and so on and so forth still have an opportunity to bring to their school recognition for their achievements. And as I said in committee, I said you can always tell when somebody's from Pueblo because the first question they ask is, what high school did you go to? Because it's that important. So if you look at how we do as students, and we're back then, where we went to school, it was critical, and any achievement that we could make during our tenure in school added to our value as in education, and so I would strongly ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Senator Crowder.
I have to stand in opposition to this bill. Hold on, I'll tell you why. You know, the trophies are, you know, the academic area is important, no doubt. But right now what they have is scholarships. They have a lot of incentives to do better. But trophies are for sports, you know, wrestling, football, baseball, because we do not expect them to excel. I mean, what we want our children to do is excel we want them to excel academically, but I'm not sure that we should be given trophies for it. I think we ought to reserve the trophies for, well, guys like this senator right here. I'm sure he was a track star. He deserves a trophy. But that was a little bit out of the ordinary. So, and I appreciate the intent of the bill, but I do believe that trophies are meant for sports. And unfortunately, I will probably be a no vote on. But I'm not. It's not a bad bill, but I think scholarship is what is meant for their trophy.
Senator Johnston.
I'll defer to Senator Rivera first.
Senator Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With all due respect to my colleague from Alamosa, I just simply have to say one thing. That's au contraire. In fact, trophies are things that make a difference and mean something to schools, and not just for sports, because they do, in fact, now give awards for academic achievement. This is just a system that is officially set up so that all students and all schools in the state can participate on a regular basis, very similar to the system that is set up for sports. And I would, again, strongly ask for a aye vote.
Senator Newell. Oh, Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also think that it may just be Senator Rivera because our colleague from Southern Colorado is worried that the kids from our districts will win all these trophies. And so that might just be a little bit of fear in his voice that we hear.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I was always the last one chosen on the softball team. Because I am not athletically inclined. I can do a little bit of dancing, but I am not athletically inclined. However, from high school, I got over 60 trophies in speech and debate. And I have high schools in my district who are much better at academic or creative or theater arts than they are at sports. And to me, this just kind of equalizes it. And so I am an aye vote on this and would ask for your support too. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1385? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1385. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 1385 is adopted. Majority Leader Heath. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move we rise, report progress, and beg leave to sit again at 4:30.
The motion before the body is to rise, report progress, and beg leave to sit again. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise, report progress, and sit again at 4:30 this afternoon.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Madam President. One moment. Madam President, the committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
May 5th, 2014, Madam President, your committee hold Bakesley report as had under consideration the following tax bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations are on. House Bill 1360 is amended, House Bill 1319 is amended, House Bill 1381 is amended, House Bill 1385 is amended, passed on second reading in order to revise place the kind of third reading and final passage. House Bill 1316 lost on second reading.
Message from the House.
May 5th, 2014, Madam President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes. House Bills 1398 as amended, 1389 as amended, 1395 as amended.
Message from the Reviser.
May 5th, 2014, we herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bills 1389, 1395, and 1398.
Introduction of resolutions.
Senate Joint Resolution 40 by Senator Heath and Representative Hollinghorst concerning the appointment of a joint committee to notify the governor that the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly is about to adjourn CNADA.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we lay over this resolution till the end of the day.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senate Joint Resolution 40 will lay over to the later in the day. Introduction of bills.
House Bill 1389 by Representatives Pabon and Del Grosso and Senator Sheffel concerning a sales and use tax exemption for information technology equipment that is used in certain data centers and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Business, Labor, Technology, State Veterans, Military Affairs, Finance, and Appropriations.
House Bill 1395 by Representative Giroux and Senator Lambert concerning information technology budget requests and in connection therewith moving the review and prioritization of information technology budget requests previously requested as capital construction to the Joint Technology Committee, establishing specific deadlines for information technology budget requests and making an appropriation.
Appropriations.
House Bill 1398 by Representative Singer and Senator Stedman and Balmer concerning the provision of financial services to licensed marijuana businesses in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Finance. Conference Committee appointments. In a response to a request from the House for a conference committee on House Bill 1180, the President appoints Senators Talktrop Chair, Senator Schwartz and Roberts as Senate conferees on the first conference committee on House Bill 1180. In response to a request from the House for a conference committee on House Bill 1298, the President appoints Senators Kerr, Chair, Senator Stedman, and Renfro as the Senate conferees on the first conference committee on House Bill 1298. Senator Kerr. Beyond the scope.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we appoint a conference committee for House Bill 1298 and that we go beyond the scope of differences.
The motion before the body is to grant permission for the conferees on the first conference committee in House Bill 1298 to consider matters not at issue between the two houses, in other words, going beyond the scope. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it and permission is granted. Senator Aguilar. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a conference committee on SB 50 and we need to ask to go beyond the scope, even though it's just to change one word. And I move that the conference committee on Senate Bill 50 be allowed to go beyond the scope.
Okay, any further discussion on the request? The motion before the body is to grant permission to the conferees on the first conference committee on Senate Bill 50 to consider matters beyond the scope between the two houses. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it and permission is granted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we proceed out of order to deal with consideration of House amendments to Senate bills, specifically Senate Bill 88.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order to consider House amendments to Senate Bill 88. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 88?
Senate Bill 88 by Senator Newell and Representative Kraft, concerning the creation of the Suicide Prevention Commission in connection therewith making and reducing appropriations.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we go to conference committee with Senate Bill 88. Should I tell why now?
So the motion would be to reject House amendments to, House amendments to Senate Bill 88. Senator Newell, please feel free to explain your request.
Thank you, Madam President. There's cleanup language that we need to make sure that we get back in because of the House amendments. So we're really not disagreeing wholeheartedly. We're just needing to have a little bit of finesse put to it. So I move again for a conference committee for Senate Bill 88.
The motion is to reject House amendments to Senate Bill 88 and form a conference committee. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate rejects House amendments to Senate Bill 88 and a conference committee will be formed. President appoints Senators Newell, Chair, Senators Kafalas and Crowder as members of the first conference committee on Senate Bill 88. Members, we laid this over to later in the day, but on Senate Joint Resolution 40 concerning appointment of the committee to notify the governor, President appoints Senators Schwartz and King to notify the governor on this resolution when we take it up. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, let me just give you a quick explanation of what I'm about to do. The Appropriations Committee is requested to meet at the well at 4:30, so we're going to do that. And the Senate then will convene right after the Appropriations Committee finishes, and there's only one bill, so this should probably only take about 5 minutes. So I would suggest that all of us get back in here at 4:30. Obviously, if particularly the Judiciary Committee isn't done at that time, we will hold up, but I think they will be. It looks like we've given them adequate time. So with that, Madam President, I move that the Senate, first, I would want to announce that the Appropriations Committee will meet in the well at 4:30 to discuss House Bill 1369.
You also know State Affairs is going to be in the old Supreme Court chamber.
And I'm asked that the State Affairs will meet in the old Supreme Court chamber as scheduled at 1:30, and the other Judiciary Committee will meet as scheduled as well.
Okay, so the motion is for granting permission for Appropriations Committee to meet in the well. Mr. Majority Leader, did you want to finish that motion?
Yes, I move that we give permission for the Appropriations Committee to meet at the microphone at the well.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Permission is granted.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. I've also been asked to give permission to the Appropriations Committee to hear other bills as assigned at 4:30 in the well. So I would so move.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senate Appropriations is given permission to hear any other bills as assigned at that time.
I'm also, Madam President,
Mr. Majority Leader.
I've also been asked to announce that the Conference Committee on House Bill 1298 will meet in House Committee Meeting Room 112 at 1 o'clock. Is there anything else for the good of the cause, Senator?
I believe House Bill 1180 may also, Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, members. And I just wanted to introduce you all to my sisters who are here. Stand up, sisters. These are my big sisters, Guadalupe Lloyd and Juanita Arroyo. And Lupe's just relocated to Colorado. Juanita lives in Chicago. And if you mess with me, you mess with them.
Mr. Majority Leader.
So thank you, Madam President. It looks like are there anything else for the good of the cause? Thank you. I move then that the Senate stand in recess until the adjournment of the Appropriations Committee, which will be approximately 4:35.
Okay, I just want to clarify that my understanding is House Bill 1180 has a conference committee at 1, and House Bill 1298 also has a conference committee at 1. Were there any other conference committees scheduled that we need to announce before we recess?
Yeah.
Where's Senator Knoll?
This at the well.
We probably should announce it.
Okay.
Well, we've got to also hear.
1389, I'm trying to figure out when I...
Yeah, business labor, I don't know what time we could do that. Tomorrow morning?
8:30 tomorrow.
8:30 in your,
8:30.
in your room?
Yeah.
What room is that?
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I've also been asked to announce that Business, Labor, and Technology will hear House Bill 1389 tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the room where BLT normally meets.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry to interrupt your motion. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, and I will again renew my motion that the House recess and following the Appropriations Committee meeting in the well, which will be approximately 4:35 p.m. today.
The motion is for the Senate to stand in recess until adjournment of the Appropriations Committee approximately 4:30 this afternoon, where members will have to return. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will stand in recess.